their functions. So we can't help it that the esoteric teaching is very complex. After all, human beings are very complex. And the esoteric teaching is a system that changes your ontology, changes your consciousness. So naturally, it's going to be very complex. The traditional approach to learning the esoteric teaching back in India is that a young child, usually a boy, will go to the house of the spiritual master and live there for several years and be taught by rote memory the ancient texts of the Vedas. Then, if he shows promise, if he is curious, if he asks good questions, the spiritual master will begin to explain the meaning. And over many years, he will be instructed how to meditate on these things with chanting and certain different other techniques. And by this, over many years, he will gradually come to understand the deep meaning of what was given to him in childhood. Now, obviously, we are not living in Vedic culture. In the West here, we're living in a rapacious, intense, materialistic atmosphere. So it will not work to take a person and say, okay, now you have to spend 5 years living as a student in an ashram and studying in the traditional way. It's just not going to happen. So we have to find a new way, a way that works in this culture, to bring people into the circle of the esoteric teaching and to give them an idea of what is coming, give them a perspective on this huge body of knowledge. So we've tried different things in the past, such as dividing the esoteric teaching into the outer or exoteric circle, the middle or mesoteric circle, and the inner or esoteric circle. We've also tried, by the way, these divisions are natural to the teaching and they have their own terminology in Sanskrit. But I was using the metaphor of an esoteric school, something that is familiar in the Western tradition, mystery school. And that works for those who understand that model. The trouble is that very few people do. A lot more people these days understand the model of computer software, operating systems, and so on and so forth. So the esoteric teaching does fit in this environment because it is an ontological system. Now, if you have a Macintosh, and let's say you're running OS X, you can't run Windows programs naturally. Maybe if you have an emulator. Well, let's not get into that. And similarly, if you have Windows, you can't run Mac programs. So my point is here that according to the type of operating system you are running on your computer, you can only run certain types of programs written for that operating system. It's a context.